483 days. That's how long it took for Jacob Fatu to go from being viewed as the future of the Bloodline story to standing across the ring from Roman Reigns in the most dangerous match their family has to offer. And after nearly half an hour of chaos, weapons, broken barricades, shattered tables, and enough punishment to end most careers, Roman Reigns once again walked out of tribal combat undefeated. But here's the question I can't stop thinking about. Did WWE make the right call by having Roman Reigns win, or did they miss the perfect opportunity to create the next tribal chief? When the dust settled at WWE Clash in Italy, Roman Reigns retained the World Heavyweight Championship, defended his position as tribal chief, and extended one of the most impressive records in modern WWE history. On paper, it sounds like exactly what many fans expected. The original tribal chief remains on top. The face of the Bloodline remains the face of the Bloodline. The championship stays around the waist of one of WWE's biggest attractions. But when I really look at what happened inside that ring, I think there is a lot more to unpack than simply saying Roman won and moving on. From the opening moments, WWE made it clear this wasn't going to be a traditional wrestling match. The second these two men got their hands on each other, the atmosphere changed completely. The crowd in Turin understood what was at stake. This wasn't just about a championship. This wasn't even just about family pride. This was about identity. It was about who truly represents the Bloodline moving forward. One thing I immediately appreciated was how quickly the match left the ring. WWE has sometimes fallen into the trap of labeling something as a street fight, tribal combat, or no disqualification match, only for the action to remain inside the ropes for most of the contest. That wasn't the case here. Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu fought through the crowd, brawled around ringside, and made the entire arena feel like a battleground. The crowd reactions throughout the match deserve a lot of credit as well. Fans were invested from beginning to end. Whether they were chanting for tables, reacting to every near fall, or begging the competitors to fight forever, the audience elevated the presentation. A tribal combat match without an emotionally invested crowd can feel like just another hardcore match. This felt different because the audience understood the story. I also like the way WWE continued weaving family history into the action. Jacob Fatu paying tribute to Umaga through his offense wasn't just a cool visual. It reinforced the idea that he carries the legacy of multiple generations on his shoulders. Every time he unleashed one of those attacks, it felt like he was reminding everyone exactly where he comes from. Then there was Roman Reigns, who might have delivered one of the most aggressive performances we've seen from him in quite some time. One of my favorite moments in the entire match was when he attacked Jacob Fatu's hand with the toolbox. The physical damage itself wasn't what made the spot memorable. It was the psychology behind it. For years, WWE has built Jacob Fatu as a dangerous force because of his incredible power and devastating offense. By targeting the hand and specifically mocking the Tongan death grip, Roman Reigns wasn't just hurting his opponent. He was strategically taking away one of his biggest weapons. That's the kind of detail I always appreciate in a major match because it makes the violence feel meaningful rather than random. The trash talk added another layer as well. Hearing Roman Reigns bark at Jacob Fatu made the rivalry feel personal. Sometimes WWE superstars get so focused on executing spots that they forget to sell the hatred. Here, you could feel it. These weren't two athletes trying to put on a show. These were two family members trying to destroy each other. The barricade spear sequence was another standout moment. When Jacob Fatu looked ready to drive through the barricade, it seemed like momentum was shifting. Then Roman Reigns countered with a Superman punch before launching his own spear through another barricade. The visual of security guards getting wiped out only made the moment bigger. What impressed me most about that sequence was how it reinforced one of Roman Reigns' greatest strengths as a performer. He's not always the flashiest wrestler. He's not always the fastest wrestler. But his timing is elite. Throughout his entire career, some of his biggest moments have come from perfectly timed counters and explosive bursts of offense, and this match showcased that perfectly. The near falls were also handled well for the most part. WWE managed to create several believable moments where either man could have won. That's not easy in modern wrestling because fans have become very good at predicting outcomes. Yet there were multiple points during this match where I found myself questioning whether WWE was actually going to pull the trigger on Jacob Fatu. The sequence where Roman Reigns removed 3 turnbuckle pads was especially interesting because it created a sense of unpredictability. Suddenly, every corner became a potential weapon. Every whip into the turnbuckles felt dangerous. It was a small detail that helped maintain tension. And let's talk about Jacob Fatu's performance because regardless of the result, I think he came out of this match looking like an absolute monster. He absorbed Superman punches. He absorbed spears. He kept getting up. He kept fighting. He kept forcing Roman Reigns to dig deeper and deeper into his arsenal. In many ways, this may have been the most resilient version of Jacob Fatu we've ever seen in WWE. Even in defeat, he looked like someone who belongs at the top of the card for years to come. That being said, I do have a few criticisms. The biggest one is that the ending felt slightly predictable once the final stretch began. As soon as Roman Reigns survived several of Jacob Fatu's biggest attacks, it became increasingly obvious that WWE was setting up another Roman comeback. While the execution was good, I think the finish could have benefited from one more major twist. This is where I think WWE may have left some money on the table. For weeks, fans have been speculating about the future of the Bloodline. We've heard theories involving betrayal. We've heard theories involving loyalty shifts. We've heard theories involving power struggles. Going into this match, there was a real possibility that somebody could have gotten involved. Imagine if the Usos had appeared. I'm not saying they needed to cost Roman Reigns the championship. I'm not even saying they needed to help Jacob Fatu win. But some form of family involvement could have added another emotional layer to the conclusion. The Bloodline story has always been strongest when it combines physical conflict with emotional conflict. The wrestling is important, but the relationships are what made this saga legendary in the first place. Instead, WWE opted for a cleaner finish. Roman Reigns speared Jacob Fatu through the corner table, destroyed him with another spear, and secured the victory himself. There's definitely value in that approach. By avoiding interference, WWE protected the credibility of the match and gave fans a decisive winner. In an era where major matches often end with distractions or outside involvement, there is something refreshing about seeing a rivalry conclude through direct competition. Still, I can't help wondering whether WWE is deliberately delaying the next chapter. Because if we are being honest, this story doesn't feel over. Not even close. Jacob Fatu lost the match, but he didn't lose his aura. If anything, he gained more credibility. He pushed the tribal chief further than almost anyone else as recently. He survived punishment that would have ended most challenges. He looked like a future world champion. And that's why the result fascinates me. WWE clearly believes Roman Reigns still has value as the centerpiece of this story. The company isn't ready to move the tribal chief mantle yet. They aren't ready to put the World Heavyweight Championship on Jacob Fatu. They aren't ready to close the book on Roman's dominance. But eventually, somebody has to replace him. Every great dynasty ends. Every great champion falls. Every great tribal chief gets challenged by the next generation. The question is whether WWE is saving that moment for a bigger stage. Could it happen at SummerSlam? Could it happen at Survivor Series? Could it happen at WrestleMania? Those are the questions I walked away asking after Clash in Italy. As a match, I thought Tribal Combat delivered. It was physical, intense, emotional, and packed with memorable moments. The crowd was invested. The action rarely slowed down. Both competitors emerged looking like stars. As a story, I think it succeeded in reinforcing Roman Reigns as the ultimate tribal chief while simultaneously elevating Jacob Fatu into the upper echelon of WWE main event talent. Was it perfect? No. Could WWE have incorporated more Bloodline drama? Absolutely. Would a shocking twist involving the Usos have generated even more discussion? Without question. But sometimes wrestling doesn't need a massive swerve. Sometimes the story is simply about proving who the better man is on a particular night. At Clash in Italy, that man was Roman Reigns. The original tribal chief remains undefeated in tribal combat. The World Heavyweight Championship remains around his waist. The Bloodline hierarchy remains intact. At least for now. Because if the last several years have taught us anything, it's that peace inside the Bloodline never lasts very long. And after watching Jacob Fatu push Roman Reigns to his absolute limit, I have a feeling this family war is far from over. The bigger question isn't whether Jacob Fatu can become tribal chief anymore. The bigger question is when. And when that day finally comes, the entire landscape of WWE could change overnight.